I think Sarojji, we can start. Meeting
Chaliye.
now.
Good afternoon, friends.
Good
I
afternoon.
welcome you all in today's sessions. It's a session wherein we have two eminent speakers, Sri S.S. Gupta ji, as well as Sri Naveen Khemka ji, who happens to be our immediate past president of Views Exchange also. Sri S.S. Gupta ji will take up with the recent amendments on TDS provisions, and Sri Naveen Khemka ji will guide us on how to deal with the GST and traces website, wherein people continuously face problems. So he may guide us on the practical solutions to our problems on GST and traces site. I welcome Gupta ji on this Views platform. I welcome Naveen Khemka ji. I welcome Nitesh Morji, Joint Co-Convener. I welcome Manurishi ji Verma, Pallavi Todi, and all my dear friends in this today's session. With this, without wasting time, I hand over to Nitesh Kumar Morji. Please carry on, Nitesh.
Yeah, thank you, Sarojji. Friends, regarding just two things. One thing is about the PowerPoint presentation and background material. We will email by Sunday to all the registered participants the background material as well as the Excel sheet, the draft financial statement, and CARO PowerPoint presentation. With this, thank you, and over to the coordinator.
Thank you so much, Nitesh ji. Now, I would like to introduce S.S. Gupta ji. Though उनको कोई introduction की जरूरत नहीं है, as he is a renowned speaker and experienced person in our CA fraternity and also in other commerce bodies and various industries bodies, and he's also a renowned speaker in various organizations also. He's a renowned expert in the field of taxation and also represents his client in front of different appellate authorities like ITAT and CIT appeals. He got first rank in Eastern region in CA final in 1973 at the age of 19. And he also works as a vice president with the AV Birla Group. He also established a firm as Swaroop and Company in 1984 and expertise in different genre of income tax background. And he also addressed as in symposiums in Singapore, Thailand, and Nepal on topic like double taxation avoidance agreement. And he also co-opted as a member in direct tax committee for ICAI in 2015-16. He is a life member of corporate executive and advisors committee on also direct tax professional association, and also he is a member in Merchant Chamber of Commerce. So I welcome S.S. Gupta ji once again to deliberate his knowledge to us. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Pallavi, for giving a brief introduction. Dignitaries of Views Exchange, Nitesh Morji, Saroj Swaika ji, Manurishi Verma ji, as I can see, and others, member friends. The topic for discussion is regarding the recent amendments to the TDS provisions. Before I take up the provisions in particular, I have some general things to talk in relation to importance of these TDS provisions and how they are operated and how they are controlled. See, basically the stress of the government is to collect tax at the earliest point of time. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So what I'm trying to submit that the tendency And the habit of the government is to make provisions in such a way so that at the earliest point of time, the due taxes of the government are collected. And I can tell you, more than 50% of the taxation is being collected by way of this TDS provision. So that itself indicates the importance of the TDS provisions. And every year, budget after budget, year after year, the provisions are being made stringent. Therefore, in large organizations where this TDS applicability is rampant and it's on a regular and a daily basis, or very frequently it is required to be applied, I for one would suggest that one should have a, like we have internal audits for other financial controls or other things, there should be a separate audit for the compliance of the TDS and TCS provisions also, because the consequences are very severe according to me. And then the prosecutions for non-deduction or having deducted non-payments are so severe that there are reported cases wherein it has been held that if you have deducted TDS and if you have delayed payment of the TDS, even after you have made the payment and even after you have made the payment of interest also, but if the department has in the meantime launched prosecution and the matter traveled up to Supreme Court, there also the Supreme Court had said nothing doing, the prosecution lies on you. आपको अपना जो डिफेंस लेना है आप नीचे लोअर अथॉरिटीज के सामने ले. Why I am telling you all these, that so far as we advisors are concerned or our clients are concerned, they should be very serious, very strict in complying and following with the TDS provisions. These are the initial remarks which I wanted to tell. Friends, I in my deliberation, I propose to deal with the amendments to TDS provisions and the new TDS provisions which have been introduced by the Finance Act 1922. And thereafter, I mean, during the course of my deliberation, if you want, you can have questions and answers, or after I have completed my deliberation, then also the question and answers may be taken, so that we make it more interactive. Then it should not be a one-sided monologue from my side. I will be more happy if the participants raise their issues and questions, and I also stand to gain in the process for that matter. Starting from section 194 IA, 194 IA, there has been an amendment carried out by Finance Act 22. Now, 194 IA deals with deduction of TDS, deduction of TDS on payment of consideration for transfer. When you make the payment as a consideration for transfer of an immovable property in excess of 50 lakhs of rupees. Now, this provision was already there, wherein one had to deduct TDS deduction at the rate of 1% on amount paid as a consideration for transfer of an immovable property. Friends, what has been amended during this, this was the obligation and liability of the payer of the consideration, that is the buyer of the immovable property. Now, what the amendment has been done by the Finance Act 22 is that they have said that under section 50C, when there is a consideration for transfer of an immovable property, then the stamp duty value is being replaced if the consideration is lesser than the stamp duty value under section 50C. And similar provisions find place in section 43CA of the Income Tax Act, which deals with a liability and obligation of the real estate developers when they when they compute their business income from the construction and sale of real estate, then they also have to substitute their sale consideration by the stamp duty value in case it is higher than the actual sale consideration. So they said since 43 CA and 50 C also require a stamp duty value to be replaced in case it is higher than the actual sale consideration. So for TDS purposes also they have now stated that this should be replaced. Suppose your actual consideration is say 1 crore of rupees, but the stamp duty value of that particular property is say 110 lakhs. Then in that case, the TDS should be deducted not on 1 crore, but on 1 crore 10 lakh. Friends, first of all, according to me, this is an absurd amendment. Now, every individual, every buyer of a property will have to keep track of the stamp duty value. That is, even at the moment you enter into an agreement to purchase a real estate property, you need also to obtain or have in your possession the stamp duty value of that property. Because if you look at the provision of 43 CA or 50 C, both say that in case and the agreement is the agreement to sell, if it is prior to the date of conveyance, which is invariably in all the cases, the agreement to sell is done at the stage of booking the apartment or the unit, and thereafter construction starts and on phases the payments are made, and then ultimately the conveyance takes place. So the time gap is always there, 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years, depending upon the size of the project and the period it takes to construct the property. Therefore, sir, the stamp duty value on the date of agreement is agreement to purchase or agreement to sell is material. So that now every buyer, rather the real estate developers, they have themselves started giving it to the buyers now after the introduction of this provision. So now the government has borrowed this idea of substituting this stamp duty value by actual consideration from 43 CA and 50 C. But this is lopsided, this is one-sided. The government has reasons best known to them, did not give the benefit of this 10% which is available. You know, both 50 CA and 50 C and 43 CA, both these provisions say if the variation between the actual consideration and the stamp duty value is less than 10% of the actual consideration or up to 10%, then there will not be any adjustment. They will go by the actual sale consideration. So here also you should have done that. But for reasons best known to the government, that has not been done, but that should have been done. So benefit of this 10% of the declared consideration is not there. So that is all about 194 IA amendment which has been carried out. So effective 1st of April 22, during this financial year, whatever payments are being made to for transfer of an immovable property, being land or building or both, then in that situation, if your consideration is exceeding 50 lakhs, then you need to deduct TDS at the rate of 1% on the value which is higher of the two values, actual sale consideration or the stamp duty value. That was regarding 194 IA. Friends, next I take up section 194R, a very, very important new section in which has been inserted by Finance Act 22, that is TDS on benefit or perquisites of a business or profession. Now, friends, what is proposed in this 194R, which is the new section proposed by inserted by Finance Act 22, is any person responsible for providing to a resident any benefit or perquisite, whether convertible into money or not, arising from business or the exercise of a profession by such resident shall, before providing such benefit or perquisite as the case may be to such resident, ensure that tax has been deducted in respect of such benefit or perquisite at the rate of 10% of the value or aggregate of the value of such benefit or perquisite. Friends, the language used in 194R is similar and identical with the provisions of 28 Roman 4 of the Income Tax Act. The 28 Roman 4 also says, just read the two lines for you. The value of any benefit or perquisite, whether convertible into money or not, arising from business or the exercise of a profession. Exactly same expression is finding place in section 194R. So what is sought to be subject to TDS is value of any benefit or perquisite, whether convertible into money or not. So my reading and my understanding of 28.4 and whatever we have argued cases in relation to 24.8.4, we have said that the benefit of perquisite must be in kind, that is, whether convertible into money or not. If it is, if the benefit or perquisite in the form of money, then there is no question of saying whether it is convertible or not. Only when it is in kind, then you can say, yeah, whether it can be converted into money or not. So if it is purely money, it cannot be subjected to 28.4. If it is purely money, then it cannot be subjected to 194R. So this is one thing which I wanted to make you understand. Now, the first proviso is very important. The first proviso is, provided that in a case where the benefit or perquisite, as the case may be, is wholly in kind or partly in cash and partly in kind, but such part in cash is not sufficient to meet the liability of deduction of tax in respect of the whole of such benefit or perquisite. The person responsible for providing such benefit or perquisite shall, before releasing the benefit or perquisite, ensure that tax required to be deducted has been paid in respect of the benefit or perquisite. Sir, इसमें हम लोगों को थोड़ा सा समझना पड़ेगा. What are the kinds of benefit or perquisite which are subject to this 194R provisions? The CBDT has come out with guidelines pursuant to section 194R6, and that guidelines, what they say, with the greatest of respect, at some places I am differing from those guidelines, so I'll try to explain it to you. This first proviso is very serious and very conveys a great meaning. What are the kinds of benefit or perquisites which are subject to 194R? Provided that in a case where the benefit or perquisite, as the case may be, is wholly in kind. If a benefit or perquisite is 100% in kind, 194R will be applicable. The second situation contemplated by this proviso is, or partly in cash and partly in kind. So here also benefit in kind is a must. So some portion of the benefit or perquisite is in cash and some portion is in kind, and they do not contemplate anything else. So my reading and understanding of this is that if a benefit or perquisite is 100% in cash, then it is not covered by 194R. Whereas in the circular which has been issued by the CBDT on 16th of June 22 in relation to, in a form of FAQ in relation to 194R, they are holding a contrary or view on this. This is, I'll take you to this. Question number 2. is it necessary that the benefit or perquisite must be in kind for section 194 of the Act to operate? That was the question. What is the answer of the CBDT? The tax under 194R of the Act is required to be deducted whether the benefit of or perquisite is in cash or in kind. इसका क्या मतलब हुआ? The CBDT is suggesting that if it is whether it is in cash or it is in kind, in both the situations you have to deduct. Most respectfully, litigations are to take place on this front. According to me, if it is 100% in cash, 194R is not applicable. But the circular is giving this impression, and rightly so. So according to me, that litigation will be there. Then it says, in this regard, it is important to draw attention to the first proviso, which I had just read for you. So they have also quoted this first proviso here. Now, first proviso, I am again reading. Provided that in a case where the benefit or perquisite, as the case may be, is wholly in cash or partly in cash and partly in kind. So these are the two situations they are contemplating. Either it must be wholly in cash or it must be partly in cash and partly in kind. But they are not contemplating a third situation, that it is wholly in cash. But such part in cash is not sufficient. So I'm not reading that portion. Now, what the CBDT has concluded, with which most respectfully I differ, they have stated that this proviso clearly indicates the intent of the legislature. There could also be situations where benefit or perquisite is... Should I start?
Yes, sir, please go ahead.
So the first situation. Naveen, can I start?
Yes, sir, I have done the necessity, sir.
Okay. So this proviso clearly indicates the intent of the legislature that there could also be situations where benefit or perquisite is in cash. This is the first situation the circular contemplates, if it is in cash, or the benefit or perquisite is in kind. That is the second situation they are contemplating, or partly in cash and partly in kind. Sir, I respectfully differ here, because the Act does not say. Act says wholly in kind or partly in cash and partly in kind. Act nowhere says wholly in kind. Therefore, according to me, in my reading of the provisions is that if it is wholly in cash, it will not be. So they are also concluding by saying that section 194R clearly brings in its scope the situation where the benefit or perquisite is in cash or in kind, or partly in cash or partly in kind. So I differ, and litigations are bound to be there. Another thing which will create a problem is the provisions of 194R subsection 4. I am reading that 194R subsection 4. What is that? 194R subsection 4. Yeah, sorry, subsection 3. Every guideline issued by the board under subsection 2 shall, as soon as may be after it is issued, be laid before each House of Parliament. Now you please listen. And shall be binding on the income tax authorities and on the person providing any benefit or perquisite. So 194R subsection 3 says the guideline which has been issued are binding on the income tax authorities and also on the person who is making a payment, that is on assessees also. So most respectfully, till now, right of the Supreme Court, in several decisions it has been held that the instructions issued by CBDT or CBDT circulars are binding on the authorities which are engaged in the execution of the Act, but they are not binding on the SSEs if they can establish that what the circular is saying is contrary to the parent provisions of the Act. Because it is a circular is a delegated legislation, and the delegated legislation cannot be more powerful than the parent Act itself. So if the parent provisions are not contemplating third situation, that is only in cash, then how by coming out with a guideline or a clarification by issue of a circular that this will also cover that? Well, litigations are bound to be there on this score. That is one. Then friends, in 194R, let us proceed further. That was the first proviso. The second proviso is provided further that the provisions of this section shall not apply in a case where the resident, where in the case of a resident, where the value or aggregate of the value does not exceed 20,000 rupees. So there is a threshold provided here. If your benefit of perquisite which you are providing to any resident during the financial year, if it does not exceed 20,000 during the whole year, then there is no question of applicability of 194R. And then, sir, the first proviso, which says that when it is wholly in kind or partly in cash or partly in kind, it says that if the cash portion is insufficient to meet the liability of the TDS, then the person who is giving the benefit of perquisite, before releasing such benefit of perquisite or before giving this benefit or perquisite to the concerned entity, resident, he should ensure that tax has been paid. So tax has been paid. Tax can be paid in two ways. Suppose हम in kind एक चीज देते हैं और से 10,000 रुपया कैश में भी देते हैं एक पर्टिकुलर बेनिफिट ऑफ परक्विजिट में, और टीडीएस ऑब्लिगेशन सपोज करिए 1 लाख रुपया होता है, तो कैश इज ओनली 10,000 whereas the TDS comes to 1 lakh of rupees. So the 90,000 either I have to pay from my own pocket and recover it from the payee, or I should request the payee to first pay me 90,000 so that I can deposit 1 lakh of rupees and then release. The law is before disbursing or before paying, the TDS must be deposited. इसमें भी CBDT clarification में जो इन लोगों ने clarification दिया है, which according to me is technically wrong according to me, or impractical. Now question number 9 of the CBDT circular I am reading for you. Section 194R provides that if the benefit or perquisite is in kind or partly in kind and cash is not sufficient to meet TDS, then the person responsible for providing such benefit or perquisite is required to ensure that tax required to be deducted has been paid in respect of the benefit or perquisite before releasing the benefit or perquisite. How can such person be satisfied that tax has been deposited? उसका reply मेरे को बड़ा थोड़ा सा मैं differ कर रहा हूँ, but I am reading the reply for the benefit of all of us. The requirement of law is that if a person is providing benefit or in kind to a recipient and tax is required to be deducted under 194R, the person is required to ensure that tax required to be deducted has been paid by the recipient. Now, such recipient would pay tax in the form of advance tax. The tax deductor may rely on a declaration along with a copy of the advance tax payment challan provided by the recipient confirming that the tax required to be deducted on the benefit or perquisite has been deposited. This would be then required to be reported in TDS return along with the challan number. This year Form 26Q has included provisions for reporting such transactions. Sir, I respectfully differ here. if the shortfall of TDS and the cash was say 90,000 in the example I given you, they should have stated that let the 90,000 be separately paid by the payee, and that challan should have been given. Now, if the payee pays his advance tax, he will consider his other incomes and losses while making the payment of advance tax. Accordingly, there is likely to be practical problems and difficulty in such a situation. Or the best course would be that the payer himself pays and recovers it and then disperses or releases the benefit or perquisite. Then, sir, another clarification given in the severity circular, which according to me is right. Suppose the agreement or understanding between the payer and the payee is that, sir, aap mere ko jo bhi benefit ya perquisite denge, that it should be net of tax, or that should be your liability. Now, in that case, the severity circular has stated, and which is rightly so, that the benefit provider may deduct the tax under 194R of the Act and pay to the government. He himself pays, the payer. The tax should be deducted after taking into account the fact that the tax paid by him as TDS is also a benefit under 194R. And therefore, he should gross it up. He should gross it up. Because grossing करने से उसको gross income के basis के ऊपर उसको TDS का clarity आएगा, or the obligation will be said to have been fulfilled. Therefore, this is important according to me. And threshold I have discussed. Then they say to whom these provisions will not apply. That is contained in the third proviso to section 194R. And the third proviso says that the provisions of this section shall not apply to a person being an individual or HUF whose total sales, gross receipts or turnover does not exceed 1 crore in the case of business or 50 lakhs rupees in the case of a profession during the previous financial year, in which such benefit or perquisite as the case may be is provided to person. So if I am providing such benefit to an individual, I am providing a benefit of and in the immediately preceding financial year, my turnover, sales or gross receipts in business was less than 1 crore of rupees, up to 1 crore of rupees, then this I am not required to comply with this 194R. Or if I am in a profession and if I am an individual or HUF and my receipts were up to 50 lakhs of rupees, then these provisions will not be applicable. Then, sir, so far as some other FAQs, other question and answers which are covered, I think we will discuss now question answer wise. The first question which has been dealt with by the severity circular dated 16 June is it necessary that the person providing benefit or perquisite needs to check if the amount is taxable under 28(4) before deducting tax under section 194? Severity has clarified as a payer, I am not obliged to see whether it is taxable in the hands of the recipient or not. The moment I find that the benefit of perquisite is arising to the recipient in the course of carrying on of his business or profession, then 194R squarely becomes applicable. Because इसमें होता क्या था कि many times whenever there were benefits in kind given to the residents in the course of their carrying on of business or profession, in many situations or most of the situations they went unreported, and therefore the government was losing revenue. I mean, these were not being reported as a benefit or perquisite under 28(4), और उसके लिए इन्होंने ये provision लेके आए. And now they are clarifying, I am not obliged to see whether it is taxable in the hands of the recipient under 28(4) or any other section, or it is not taxable. If it is a benefit or perquisite arising in the course of carrying on a business or profession by the recipient resident, then I need to comply with 194R. That was one clarification. And cash or in kind, I have already discussed. Then there is a question, is there any requirement to deduct tax under 194R when the benefit or perquisite is in the form of capital asset? Very much. See, because the provisions are clear. If it is in kind, only in kind, so in kind can always be a capital asset, and therefore the reply would be that 194R provisions will be applicable if the benefit or perquisite is in the form of a capital asset. Now, they have given certain examples with the help of certain case laws. Let us discuss one by one. SSE entered into an agreement with J for purchase of a plot of land, and certain amount was paid as earnest money. However, possession of land was not given to SSE, and seller entered into another agreement with a third party to develop the said plot. SSE filed suit in which a consent decree was passed, and in pursuance of same, certain amount is paid by the SSE. On appeal, it was held that such sum received in pursuance of the consent decree was liable to tax as business income under 28(4). So this has been the view of the Bombay High Court in a reported decision of Ramesh Babulal Shah, reported in 53 taxman.com 277. So sir, मैंने वो agreement fulfill नहीं किया, or the buyer, the other party did not fulfill the agreement, and therefore the earnest money which I received has been forfeited. So that becomes a benefit of perquisite, because I am carrying the business of real estate development, and forfeiture of earnest money received in the course of carrying out such business become a benefit of perquisite. Then this is a decision which has been stated here, with which I respectfully differ. The amount representing principal loan waived by bank under one-time settlement scheme would constitute income falling under 28(4), relating to value of any benefit or perquisite arising from business or profession. This is a decision of the Madras High Court, reported in 68 taxman.com 289, CIT versus Ramaniyam Homes Private Limited. Friends, this decision is most respectfully, now it is no longer a good law in view of the decision of the Supreme Court, reported in 404 ITR page 1, Mahindra and Mahindra. In the case of Mahindra and Mahindra, 404 ITR page 1, Supreme Court has categorically stated that waiver of principal amount of loan cannot be said to be a benefit of perquisite arising under 28(4), because 28(4) says the benefit or perquisite must arise in the course of carrying on of this. If you read the decision of the Honorable Supreme Court, the complete decision, the complete judgment, they have said that the person borrowing money from a bank, he is not in the business of borrowing and giving money on this thing. He is in the business of trading or manufacturing or this thing. Therefore, I am not dealing with the taking loan, giving loan, taking loan, giving loan. Therefore, I am not, that waiver is not in the course of, that does not arise to me in the course of carrying on a business. So Supreme Court in Mahindra and Mahindra has very categorically stated that 28(4) is not applicable. Then they have also discussed in that decision that whether applicability of 41(1), whether that is applicable on such waiver. Sir, जब OTS होता है बैंक से, तो normally हमको, I have amount dues to be paid to the bank by way of principal amount of the loan, and in many cases there is interest payable is also which is interest which was accrued and due in earlier years and the current year, and that has not been paid. So that also is part of the amount to be paid. And OTS मेरा interest का भी होता है और principal का भी होता है. In that situation, if that interest which is unpaid, and उसमें भी मेरे को कुछ वेवर या कंसेशन मिला है, then in that situation, if I have claimed that interest by way of debit to profit and loss account in earlier years, then in question on the interest portion, unpaid interest portion which has been waived, that becomes chargeable under 41(1), but not the principal amount. So therefore, this decision, what is written here in this circular, has been clearly does not stand, no longer a good law in view of this Supreme Court decision of 404 ITR, page 1. Then, sir, value of rent-free accommodation, furniture and fixture given to a director who was held as taxable under 28(4), CIT versus Subroto Rai, Allahabad High Court decision. Friend, according to me, whatever is to be seen, the benefit or perquisite can be either under 28(4), if it is, but if I am an employee and director of the company, and then if I am getting such benefit, then according to me, these are not 28(4) benefits, these are 17(2) perquisites. That's it, because I am receiving it in the capacity of employer-employee relationship. Then, sir, when a car was given to an assessee by his disciple who had been benefited from his preaching, the value of car was held to be taxable in the hands of the assessee, being a receipt from the exercise of a vocation carried on by him. This is yet another decision from Allahabad High Court, 125 ITR 408. इसमें मेरे को एक चीज आप लोगों को एक डिसीजन बताना है, that Bombay High Court in a decision which was rendered in the case of just 1 second, let me take it out. Yeah. In the case of Dilip Kumar Rai versus CIT, that is reported in 94 ITR page 1. The facts of this case were that the assessee, whose name was Dilip Kumar Roy, he was a disciple of late Sri Aurobindo. Now, his two main activities were singing bhajans and writing books. Now, some of his bhajans were recorded and earned royalty for the same. He also earned royalty from the books. Both these receipts were charged to tax under the head other sources. He traveled widely, not only in India, but around the world, and sometimes gave lectures on his tour. He attracted several persons towards him who called their guru. So, lekin if you received certain gifts or presents for your personal qualities, then Bombay High Court in this decision has said that they cannot be called to be your benefits or perquisites arising for carrying out any profession or business. So this is an interesting decision when it is not directly connected with the carrying of your business, but because of your certain personal qualities which have impressed certain persons who were with you. So if they give you a certain amount by way of gifts without any agreement or without any right to receive on your part, then in that situation it has been held that it is not, and you know, this case was argued by the late Palkiwala before the Honorable Bombay High Court, and it makes an interesting reading according to me. Then, sir, the CVDT circular further cites a decision of Bombay High Court in D.M. Natwarwala, 122 ITR 880. The assessee was a director of a company. In terms of an agreement with the promoters, shares were allotted to the director. On these facts, it was held that the shares received by the director were benefit or perquisite received by the company. So, under the present law, 194R would be held applicable. Value of gift of land was held as a receipt by the SSE in carrying on his vocation. This is Calcutta High Court, Amrendranath Chakravarti. So, thus, it can be seen that an asset given as benefit or perquisite may be a capital asset in general sense of the term, like car, land, etc. But in the hands of the recipient, it is a benefit or perquisite and has accordingly been held to be taxable. In any case, as stated earlier, the deductor is not required to check whether it is taxable in the hands of the recipient or not, in response to the first query. अब एक बहुत important question answer यहाँ पर दिया है, which will help all the business and manufacturing establishments, whether sales discount, cash discount and rebates are benefit or perquisite. Severity has clarified these are nothing but pure reductions from your sale price. These are nothing but pure reduction from your sales proceeds. Sir, ये controversy पहले उठती थी. In one of my clients' cases, the severity, there was a survey from the TDS wing, and then in the survey they said that huge discounts were allowed to the customers. They said आपने 194H का इसमें TDS nahi kata, and they issued a show cause and quantified the non-deduction of TDS running into crores of rupees. So I had to handle that matter, and therein I gave the same arguments that commission require an agency relationship. Here, what is the relationship? That it is a principal to principal, it is a transaction of purchase and sale, wherein I have given certain deductions or rebates or discounts or this thing. Therefore, it is nothing but a straight reduction from the sales price, and finally we could get the matter adjudicated in favor of the client. So therefore, sir, here also the severity is what they have stated, that sales discount, cash discount and rebates allowed to customers from the listed retail price represent lesser realization of sale price itself. To that extent, purchase price of the customer is reduced. So logically, these are also benefits. They are saying, though they are benefits, so therefore 194R is required to be deducted. But in the same breath, they are saying, same para, however, it is seen that subjecting these to tax deduction would put the seller to difficulty. To remove such difficulty, it is clarified that no tax is required to be deducted under 194R of the Act on sales discount, cash discount and rebates allowed to customers. So therefore, no TDS is required on this. Then friends, nowadays, invariably there is a scheme. Whenever you go to a departmental store or a shop, they say if you buy 5, we give you 1 free. If you buy 3, we give you 4th item free. So in this severity circular also, they have given an example that if you buy 10 pieces of a particular product, you will get 2 items, 2 pieces free. So at a price of 10, you are getting 12. So 12 at a price of 10. So whether 194R will be applicable? No, they have here also they have said that in substance the seller is actually selling 12 items at a price of 10, and the buyer is getting 12 items for a price of 10. So this is, they will record their purchase and sale accordingly. There is no question of any benefit or perquisite. But they have also clarified it by saying, hence to remove difficulty, it is clarified that on the above facts, no tax is required to be deducted under 194R. It is clarified that situation is different when free samples are given, and the above relaxation would not apply. If I give free samples to customers or dealers or others, then definitely 194R comes into picture. Then they have given certain situations wherein it is 194R is clearly applicable. Some of the examples, like when a person gives incentive other than discount and rebate, mind you, other than discount and rebate, in the form of cash or kind, such as car, TV, computers, gold coin, mobile phone, etc., they have said that 194R would be applicable. when a person sponsors a trip for the recipient and his or her relatives upon achieving certain targets, 194 are applicable. When a person provides free ticket for an event, 194 are applicable. When a person gives medicine samples free to medical practitioners, 194 hour is applicable. So these are only illustrative. The relaxation provided from non-deduction of tax for sales, discount and rebate is only on those items and should not be extended to others. That is, say discount and rebate is understood, but giving anything in kind, there the 194 hour applicability will arise, because that will be nothing but a benefit or perquisite arising in the course of carrying out a business or profession. Now, sir, there might be a situation that you are giving a benefit or perquisite in kind to a company or an entity, and the benefit is being consumed or enjoyed by any employee or director or partner of that firm or company, as the case may be. So, sir, then the situation would be that so far as the company or the person giving the benefit to that company is concerned, for him the benefit is arising to that entity, the company or the firm. So he will have to deduct tax under 194R. And the company, and that benefit, the perquisite in kind is being enjoyed by an employee of that company, then the company will be taxed on that benefit or perquisite on which TDS has been deducted under 194R under section 28(4). But the company will debit that amount to the salary, and it will be taxed as a perquisite in the hands of the concerned employee. So that is how that in that situation, like some free samples are given to a medicine samples are given to a doctor who is an employee of a particular hospital. So far as the manufacturer of the product is concerned, he is giving the benefit to the hospital. So he will deduct TDS in the name of the hospital, and the hospital will treat it as a perquisite or benefit to the concerned employee, and then they will accordingly deduct TDS under 192 read with section 72, because that benefit is going to an employee under an employer-employee relationship. So that is how this 194R will have to be worked. Now another important is the 10% is to be deducted on the value of that benefit or perquisite. Now, how is the valuation of benefit or perquisite required to be carried out? The valuation of benefit or perquisite, the value would be based on the fair market value of the benefit or perquisite, except in the following cases. Now, there might be a situation where I am giving a foreign trip free of cost to a particular person. Now, the amount which I have spent or paid for buying that tour package, that will be the value of the benefit or perquisite. There might be certain companies who are dealing in certain products or manufacturing certain products, which are given by way of benefit or perquisite to certain entities. Then in that case, the CBDT circular clarifies that the price at which I am selling those products to other persons, that will be the basis to decide the value of that product which is being offered to the entities. Now, another question which has been answered in this circular is, many a times a social media influencer is given a product of a manufacturing company so that he can use that product and make audio video to speak about the product in social media. Is the product given to such influencer a benefit or perquisite? Friends, if my contract with that person who is my social media influencer, like these film artists or these cricket personalities or whosoever he may be, when they do advertising, they become social media influencer. And when under the contract, I am making certain payment in cash, and there is a requirement or condition that after you have done the advertisement, you will return this product to the manufacturing company. In that situation, there is no benefit or perquisite arising because the product, but sometimes some jewelry manufacturers or wristwatch manufacturers or this fashion designers, they have said that the dress or the watch or the clothing which I give you will you will advertise for me, and thereafter you are free to use it for your own purposes also. In that situation, the second situation where the social media influencer is permitted to retain that product, then in that situation, it will be a benefit or perquisite arising in the course of carrying on of the profession of the social media influencer, और वहां पर उस पे taxability आएगी. Another question which has been answered in this severity circular is whether reimbursement of out-of-pocket expenses incurred by service provider in the course of rendering service is a benefit or purpose. Friend, the answer to this question can be given only as per the agreement, only as per the facts of a particular case. Now, if the pocket expenses which I am incurring, I'll have to first decide whose obligation is. Like as a professional, if I work for a client and my agreement with the client is that I'll take 5 lakh by way of fees, and I would like to be reimbursed my actual out-of-pocket expenses on traveling, boarding and lodging if I travel for your purposes. Now, if that traveling, boarding and lodging is the obligation of the client per se, then there is no requirement to deduct. Then definite there is no requirement to deduct. But on the contrary, if I am, the obligation is mine. If I say that this is my obligation, but you will reimburse me, then in that situation, if I have incurred and debited to my traveling expenses account, and then later on I am getting a reimbursement, then in that situation, this becomes a part of benefit or perquisite arising as a carrying in the course of case. So much will depend on the terms and conditions of a particular case. Now, there are situations where the traveling bill, the bill of the travel agent directly goes in the name of the client. He pays. I do not come into picture. The money does not come to me. And the agreement, our initial MOU or understanding with the client is that you will arrange for my travel and hotel stays. Then in that situation, and that is not my obligation, that is clarified in that. Then in that situation, this is not subject to 194R. So much will depend upon the. Then, sir, this dealers conferences, mostly these consumer product companies or they have a scheme that if you achieve so much turnover, we will have a conference in a foreign destination, take you with your family for so many number of days. So that has been clarified, that in what situation 194R would be applicable and in what situation it will not be applicable. Like it says that if there is a dealer conference to educate the dealers about the products of the company, whether it is a benefit or perquisite. Now they have clarified the expenditure pertaining to dealer or business conference would not be considered as benefit perquisite for the purpose of 194R in a case where dealer business conference is held with the prime object to educate to dealers or customers about any of the following. Now, in these situations, that is where a new product is being launched and I am trying to display that to my dealers, where a discussion is there as to how the product is better than the other company's products, where it is obtaining orders from dealers and customers, or for teaching sales techniques to dealers and customers, or addressing queries of the dealers and customers, or reconciliation of accounts with dealers and customers. Now, such conference must be in the nature of incentives or benefits to select dealers or customers who have achieved particular targets. That must not be there. Where it is a benefit given to a particular dealer on achieving a sales target, then definitely it is a benefit or perquisite arising in the course of carrying out of business or profession, and 194R will be applicable. Then the circular also clarifies that in the following situations 194R will definitely be applicable, that is expenses attributed to leisure trip or leisure component, even if it is incidental to the dealer business conference. हम बोलते हैं कि एक दिन तो हम आपका बिजनेस की जो चीजें डिस्कस करेंगे, डील करेंगे, then another 2 days you can spend there at that destination by way of leisure or by way of tour. So that portion will definitely become a benefit or perquisite arising expenditure incurred for family members accompanying the person. If they say that you are free to take your spouse with you, then in that situation, definitely it is nothing but a benefit in kind. Expenditure on participants of dealers or business conferences for days which are on account of prior stay or overstay beyond the dates of such conference. So, conference 10 तारीख की है, आपको मैंने बोला कि भैया आप तो 8 तारीख से आ सकते हैं और आप 15 तारीख तक रह सकते हैं. So therefore, definitely you are giving me certain benefits or this. And then, sir, the provisions are applicable effective 1st July 22, and the limits, the limit of 20,000 has been with reference to a financial year. So how you compute it? Friends, as the provisions are applicable effective 1st July, then whatever benefits or perquisites which have been provided up to 30th June, paid or credited, there is no question of any TDS. But the moment you give any benefit or perquisite, the moment you give any benefit or perquisite post 30th June, and then if your threshold of 20,000 starting from 1st April to say 15 जुलाई को आपने कोई बेनिफिट परक्विजिट दिया है 500 रुपए का, उस 500 रुपए 1 अप्रैल से लेके और 15 जुलाई तक on that 500, if it exceeds 20,000, then this entire 500 will be subject to. But पहले अगर 30 जून तक 10,000 का दिया है, another 10,000 is not subject to TDS. So threshold of 20,000 has to be seen with reference to the financial year. But 30 जून तक अगर हमने 10 लाख का भी बेनिफिट और परक्विजिट दिया है, that cannot be subject to benefit TDS under 194R. So that was all about 194R according to me. Friends, another important amendment has been carried out in section 201 within bracket 1 capital A. First of all, let us understand what is 201 1 capital A. If a person is a assessee in default, either for delayed deduction of tax or for delayed deposit of the tax deducted, then 201 1 capital A existing provisions prior to the amendment say that for delayed deduction, an interest at the rate of 1% is to be paid. That is the date on which the TDS was to be deducted and the date on which it is actually deducted. Correct? उसपे 1% देना पड़ेगा. And simultaneously, you need to pay another interest at the rate of 1.5% per month from the date of the TDS deducted to the date of actual payment of TDS. Sir, there was a case, and there have been cases where we have argued, wherein it was a case of non-payment of TDS. Non-payment of TDS. TDS was deducted, but it was not paid. So the assessee was held to be an assessee in default as per section 201(1), and interest liability was the matter of adjudication. The assessee argued before the Andhra Pradesh High Court in a reported decision, wherein it says, sir, the law requires TDS interest to be calculated. The law requires interest to be calculated at the rate of 1 and 1/2% for every month or part of a month on the amount of which tax, from the date on which the tax was deducted to the date on which tax is actually paid. He said, sir, to calculate my liability of interest under section 201(1)(a), there should be two factual things available. The first is that the TDS, the date on which I have deducted the TDS, and the second is the date on which I have actually paid the said TDS, delayed. अगर दोनों में से एक भी चीज एब्सेंट है, हाउ डू आई कंप्यूट माई TD इंटरेस्ट ऑन डिलेड पेमेंट? मैंने तो पेमेंट किया ही नहीं है. So in case of no date available for the actual date of payment, because the situation is I am not paid till date. So how do you calculate my interest liability? That was the issue which was posed before the Andhra Pradesh High Court in that decision. The High Court had to say the computation provision mechanism is failing. I mean, in this situation, there cannot be a computation. It reminds me of that famous decision of the Honorable Supreme Court in the case of B.C. Srinivasa Sethi, wherein it has stated that was a case when goodwill was not taxable subject to capital gain. They stated that in case of a self-generated goodwill, there is no cost of acquisition. और उसको मैंने 25 साल बाद 50 साल बाद एक वैल्यू पे किसी को सेल किया है. I have a sale consideration, but to compute capital gain आपके पास सेल भी होना चाहिए और कॉस्ट भी होना चाहिए. I have, this is a self-generated. I did not pay anything over the period of years. मेरी goodwill generate हुई है. I have not spent anything for acquiring this goodwill. Supreme Court had said where the computation provisions are not applicable, the charging provisions fail. So based on this mechanism, in certain situation, 201(1)(a) could not be quantified, and therefore revenue was being lost. Now they have amended. They have said it is proposed to insert a new proviso to the said subsection to provide that where an order is made by the assessing officer for the default referred to in subsection 1, the interest shall be paid by the person in accordance with such order. Now, in accordance with such order, they have stated, but the manner of computation has not been specified. So according to me, this will also lead to so many litigations will arise, because the assessing officer will have his own say as to how to decide this thing. Now, friends, another amendment is to section 206(a)(b). You know, the Finance Act 21 inserted a new section 206(a)(b), wherein it says that when you apply the provisions of TDS or TCS in the case of a person in whose case the aggregate TDS or TCS are exceeding 50,000 rupees, then if the payee is a non-filer of returns for 2 previous years immediately preceding the date of payment, अगर उसकी 139(1) की 2 साल की due dates expire हो गई है, तो if he has not furnished his returns for both the preceding 2 years, then in that case TDS has to be deducted at a rate higher as specified in 206 AB, that is at the rate of 5% or twice the rate, whichever is higher. Abhi, the Finance Act 22, what they have done, they have reduced this 2 years default by now 1 year. So even if your payee, in whose case the aggregate of TDS and TCS is exceeding 50,000 rupees, even if there is a failure on his part for non-filing of the return of the immediately preceding previous year within the due date of 139(1), you need to have this applicability of 206 AB. You might be having a question, sir, how do I know whether the concerned SSE has, I think the department already under 206 AB Finance Act 21, the department has come out with a utility by which if you insert the PAN number of the payee, you can know the status. I think for this year also, that is likely to be coming. Now, sir, we have yet another section, important section, which has been inserted by Finance Act 22 has inserted a new section 194S, that is payment on transfer of virtual digital asset. Sir, VDA has been a subject matter of disputes. VDA has been subject matter of media news for last practically 6 months to 1 year. And in that situation, now they have Finance Act 22 has recognized virtual digital asset as an asset class and came out with the taxation of income arising on transfer of virtual digital assets, either held as capital asset or as a business asset, by inserting a specific provision of its taxability under section 115 BBH, and by also coming out with a TDS provision in the form of section 194S, payment on transfer of virtual digital asset. Now, effective 1st July 22, any person responsible for paying to any resident any sum by way of consideration for transfer of a virtual digital asset shall at the time of credit of such sum to the resident or at the time of payment, whichever is earlier, 1% of such sum as income tax thereon. And there also they are saying that if the consideration is wholly in kind or in exchange of another virtual digital asset where there is no part in cash or partly in cash and partly in kind, now the person making the payment of consideration should ensure that TDS required to be deducted has been paid even before the payment is made or disbursed. So that is with effect from 1st July 2022. And the provisions of 203 capital A, that is a requirement of obtaining a TAN number, and 206 AB, which I just discussed, that higher rate in case of non-filers. These two provisions are not applicable to a specified person. And specified person in the case of 194S has been two categories of persons: an individual or HUF who does not have any business income, they have been held to be specified person; an individual and HUF whose total sales and gross receipts in business does not exceed 1 crore, or if in profession does not exceed 50 lakhs of rupees. And the threshold here is that when the consideration is being paid by a specified person, which I have just explained who are these specified persons, there the threshold is 50,000. But other than these specified persons, the threshold is 10,000. That is, if the consideration exceeds 10,000 or 50,000, as the case may be, the TDS applicability comes into play. And then by way of subsection 4, it is stated that where there is a applicability of 194O, also in addition to the provisions of this 194S, then TDS is to be deducted only under 194S. You may ask, sir, 194O kya hai? 194O is that when e-commerce operators like Amazon, Flipkart, etc., when they make payments to the e-commerce participant, the manufacturers or the suppliers, then the TDS has to be deducted under. So sometimes these virtual digital assets are also on these such persons. So where there is a applicability under both the sections, it has been stated that only 194S1 will operate, not 194O. And then likewise they have kept the power to issue guideline. Sir, ये guideline मैं ज़्यादा discuss नहीं करूँगा. Only thing is, when these proposals were proposed, we had objected. We had stated that, sir, when it is a VDA, it is not always done one-to-one, that A is buying from B or B selling to A. Mostly these are to be purchased from a exchange or a platform. Now, when I buy or sell at the exchange or a platform, when I'm purchasing on an exchange or a platform, that I don't know who is the seller, and the obligation under 194S is to deduct tax from the. So when it is peer-to-peer transaction, that is when it is directly buyer to seller transaction, then ठीक है, हम 194S आपके उसमें काट के जमा दे देंगे और I'll comply with the TDS obligation. But when it is from exchange, I don't know. I may never know the entity. So क्या कर? That has been clarified in the severity circular, wherein it has been stated that it will be the obligation of the exchange, and the other situations have also been considered in this. This is also a fairly long circular, so I think I have exhausted the time which should have been with me, and I think there are so many questions were coming. I could not pay attention, so I just request the organizers to or the moderator to read the question one by one, and I shall be pleased to respond to them. That is what I wanted to speak about the amendments carried out by the Finance Act 22 in relation to TDS provisions. Thank you, friends, for giving me a patient hearing. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
You can tell me the queries and issues which have been raised by the participants. I'll be responding to them.
Paras Jha ji has asked, TDS will be deducted under section 194 if we pass the right of entry in books and reduce the ledger balance of party.
See, if you, first of all, writing off the account of the party is not any benefit or perquisite. This is a bilateral agreement by virtue a write-off is done, or a unilateral agreement on the behalf of the supplier, and bad debt written off then straight away the deductibilities arising under 36(2) or 31 Roman 7 of the Income Tax Act. So according to me, there is no question of benefit or perquisite arising in that situation.
Sir, whether 194R will be applied on the if car provided to employee? Parth Singh Gupta has been asked.
Sir, I had explained you, I am again repeating it. Car provided to an employee is nothing but a perquisite as per section 17(2), you will provide him as per the terms of employment, and there is an employer-employee relationship. So 28(4) is not coming into picture, 194R is not coming into picture. वहां पर आपको सेक्शन 17(2) और रूल 3 के हिसाब से परक्विजिट कैलकुलेशन करके 192 में उसका टीडीएस का कैलकुलेशन होगा. That is not subject to 194R.
Sir, 194R will be applied to a partnership firm if gives benefit to a partner. Deepak Jain ji has asked this question.
So far as giving a benefit to a partner is concerned, then we will have to look at the provisions of 40C. If the payment is paid by way of remuneration or interest, then 40B provisions will apply. If any other benefit or perquisite we are giving, then it becomes then definitely it becomes a benefit under 28(4) or 28(4) में जैसे ही आएगा वहां पर 194R की एप्लीकेबिलिटी होगी. इंटरेस्ट रेम्युनरेशन के ऊपर 194R की एप्लीकेबिलिटी नहीं होगी, because that will be governed by partnership deed and section 40(b) of the Income Tax Act.
Sir, Monica Pinchaji has asked whether this TDS section will apply to target-based discounts given to customers.
Yeah, target-based discounts given to customers, according to me, as per the clarification given in the severity circular, the target incentives which are given are definitely, once again, if they are purely in the form of cash and not in the form of kind, then according to me, you can successfully argue that 194R will not be applicable. I explained you that they are contemplating two situations: benefits or perquisites only in kind, benefits or perquisites partly in cash and partly in kind. The target incentives are 100% in cash. Now, severity circular bolta hai, a litigation is likely to be there. If you want to play safe, then you deduct 194R. But large corporates, or in case of big cases, I think a litigation or a further clarification, the severity should come out. According to me, a clear reading of the provisions, 100% in cash is not subject to 194R.
Sir, Adinath ji has asked goods given to a social media influencer instead of monetary consideration will apply section 194R or not?
Yeah, it will be definitely, once it is in kind and that is arising to the social media influencer in the course of exercising business or profession, is very much subjected to very much taxable under 28(4) and also subject to TDS under 194R.
सब पवन कुमार अग्रवाल जी, आप अनम्यूट करके पूछ लीजिए क्या क्वेश्चन पूछना है.
हेलो.
हाँ बोलिए पवन जी.
गुड मॉर्निंग, गुड आफ्टरनून सर. सर दो क्वेश्चन है. सर एक डिस्काउंट में आपने जो कहा है सर, जैसे अपने बिग बाजार में जाते हैं तो बाय 2 गेट 1 फ्री है, तो सर मैं 2 सेट लिया, मैंने 1 सेट फ्री दिया, तो वहाँ पर 194R लगेगा?
नहीं लगेगा. आप सिविलिटी सर्कुलर को थोड़ा टाइम दीजिए, पढ़िए. उसमें दे हैव गिवन एन एग्जांपल कि उन्होंने इस रूप में दिया है कि इफ आई बाय 10 आई विल गेट 2 फ्री. So same is your question or your query.
इसमें अगर सपोज क्वेश्चन डिफरेंट हो गया, इफ आई बाय 2 सब का सब लेता हूँ एंड एक बाल्टी देते हैं, देन 94R मैं 2 सेट लेता हूँ एंड दे आर गिविंग वन पेंट एक्स्ट्रा. मैं काइंड इज डिफरेंट. मैं 2 सेट लेता हूँ एंड दे आर गिविंग 1 सेट एक्स्ट्रा, देन वो क्वेश्चन अलग हो जाता है. And suppose I purchase 2 set and I get 1 pent extra, whether question answer will be same?
मेरे हिसाब से दोनों में सेम ही सिचुएशन है। आप 2 लेते हो, आपको 1 एक्स्ट्रा मिलता है,
Okay.
तो उसमें क्या प्रॉब्लम है? दैट इज
May-
यू आर गेटिंग 3 फॉर ए प्राइस ऑफ 2.
Okay. Actually,
there-
can okay, okay, I agree, sir. Actually, और एक स्पीकर से मैं हुआ था, उनका आर्गुमेंट था कि अगर आइटम अलग हो जाएंगे, देन 194 आर एप्लीकेबल हो जाएगा.
क्वेश्चन 194 आर का नहीं है क्वेश्चन, सॉरी, प्रोडक्ट के अलग होने का नहीं है. अगर अगर सेम जगह हम जा रहे हैं और एट द टाइम ऑफ परचेज अगर हमको कोई चीज इन काइंड में फ्री मिल रही है अलोंग विद बाइंग,
Okay.
सो एंड नंबर 1. नंबर 2, इसका एक और आर्ग्यूमेंट आपके लिए पॉसिबल है कि यू आर ए कंज्यूमर when you are buying 2 shirts and getting a, कोई आपको साथ में कोई गिफ्ट मिल गया, उन्होंने कोई डॉट पेन दे दिया या कोई उन्होंने चीज दे दी आपको. सो फॉर यू आर नाइदर बाइंग इट इन द कोर्स ऑफ कैरिंग ऑन योर बिजनेस, nor you are buying it in the course of carrying on your profession, so exercising of your profession. तो आप तो वैसे ही इसमें से निकल जाएंगे,
Thank you,
because
sir.
the recipient must receive it as a result of carrying out of business or profession.
Okay. So another question खाली से जो default and higher TDS का था, so for the financial year 2021 जो कि पोर्टल ने काम नहीं किया था, एंड बहुत से एसएससी का रिटर्न हमने मार्च महीने में लगाया है, जिसका ड्यू डेट 31 दिसंबर था, तो उनका समय TDS प्रोविजन हायर था. तो फॉर द फाइनेंशियल 22-23 शुड वी गो फॉर द हायर TDS नाउ?
जिसका 139(1) की ड्यू डेट के बाद में रिटर्न फाइल हुआ है, और उसमें दूसरी चीज भी एग्जामिन कर लीजिए जिसमें से बहुत निकलने की चांसेस रहती है. इफ द TDS एंड TCS इन हिज केस इज एक्सीडिंग 50,000 रुपीज, देन आपको हायर TDS पे जाना पड़ेगा.
50,000 तो एक्सिट कर रही है, लेकिन क्या पोर्टल काम नहीं कर रहा था, तो उसमें बहुत से केसेस मार्च में लगे, तो मैंने
that is your fact situation. There might be certain clarifications or circulars from या फिर 119 2B में आप CBDT से अपनी फैक्ट सिचुएशन दे के कोई डायरेक्शन सीख कर सकते हैं, बट but as per the law as it stands today, there will be higher applicability of 106 AB.
थैंक यू वेरी मच सर.
आदिनाथ जी कुछ क्वेश्चन पूछा जा रहे हैं. आदिनाथ जी प्लीज आस्क द क्वेश्चन.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, what I wanted to ask a supplementary question to the social media influencer situation. There, the professional fees we have been always been giving, and we have been deducting TDS under 194J, and then
Right.
giving goods for the net amount at an MRP rate or a discounted rate. So in that case, 194R will have any claim?
Can you repeat your question?
Sir, we have been accepting invoices for professional fees from the social media influencer, deducting tax under 194J, and for the
Okay.
net amount to be paid, we are giving them goods. So in that case, there wouldn't be any scope for
No.
application of 194R at all.
With respect, there is no reason, na? Because what you are paying is by way of professional fees, and that fees is being given in kind, not in cash.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So then there is no question of there cannot be a TDS, a double TDS for the same transaction.
Yeah, sir. Correct, sir.
But
okay, thank you, sir.
sometimes इसमें क्या होता है, for social media influencer में say I am engaging Amitabh Bachchan for an ad, and the agreement is to pay 1 crore rupees, और उनको हम बोलते हैं कि भाई ये वॉच का, रिस्ट वॉच का आप ऐड करिए, तो उन्होंने and बाद में कंपनी बोलती है भाई you please also retain this wrist watch. So that situation is sought to be brought here. 1 crore.
Yeah, correct. Yes, sir. And if sometimes we give gratuitously something more, the picture अच्छी चली या ऐसा कुछ, so then it will be again taxable. Anything
naturally, because that is arising due to carrying out of the business or profession, तो वो उसमें 28(4) में perquisite हो गया, therefore यहाँ पर 194R में आ गया.
Thanks a lot, sir. Thanks a lot.
Manushi ji, I think you can take up now. मनुष्य जी आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही है। सर मोनिका जी का एक क्वेश्चन है कि कंपनी ने एक वाउचर हैंडओवर किया था टू द डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर बाय जनरेटिंग जीरो वैल्यू वाउचर फॉर पासिंग दी ये वाउचर टू द कस्टमर्स। सो इन दिस केस सर TDS एप्लीकेबल होगा क्या टू द डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर?
As you have told me that it is a zero value voucher. If it is a zero value voucher, how do you value the benefit or perquisite?
पारस झा आप पूछ सकते हैं अपना क्वेश्चन अनम्यूट करके।
हेलो,
Yes.
गुड मॉर्निंग सर। बोल रहे थे अपने FMCG कंपनी में जो प्रोडक्ट जो है इन्फ्लुएंसर को बार्टर सिस्टम में दिए हैं, ठीक है, उसको बोले मेरे लिए तुम ऐड करो, मैं ये तुम्हें प्रोडक्ट दे रहा हूँ, ये प्रोडक्ट ऐड करके जैसे डीओ ऐड करके अपने पास रख लो, ठीक है। तो इस सिचुएशन में क्या मुझे वहाँ 194 आ जाएगी ना बार्टर सिस्टम में?
We have already this question has been discussed and I have replied. In the situation cited by you, the social media influencer is given his remuneration in kind, and if the remuneration is in kind, then the TDS has to be deducted under 194J and not under this 194R.
अच्छा, नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन सर मेरी एक है कि आप जो इससे पहले बोले थे हम टारगेट बेस्ड डिस्काउंट जो देते हैं अगर वो कैश में दे रहे हैं तो उस पे अपना 194R नहीं आनी चाहिए, राइट। अगर मान लो हम टारगेट बेस्ड पेपर हम अप्रैल में मेरा एक स्कीम टारगेट सेट किए, ठीक है, उस टारगेट सेट में उसको हम बोले जो अगर मेरा ये उसमें जो है 1 करोड़ का अगर बंदा सेल करता है तो मई में उसको हम डिस्काउंट देते हैं, ठीक है, नेक्स्ट मंथ में, ठीक है। तो उस केस में मतलब इसमें क्या है, मैंने कैश अर्न करने में अपना गुड्स के हिसाब से उसको हम डिस्काउंट देते हैं, तो उसमें क्या उसमें TDS आ जाएगी?
If the discount is in relation to your sales target or the, achieving a particular sales target and that is given by way of a credit note in the form of cash or जो भी है आप monetary credit देते हैं उसको, then it has been clarified in the severity circular also that such discount rebates discounts are not subject to 194R.
मतलब आपके सर इससे क्लियर ये होती है कि अपने सेकेंडरी स्कीम का जो डिस्काउंट हम चलाते हैं FMCG कंपनी में, ठीक है, वो 194R में कवर नहीं करेगी?
नहीं, there is no reason because आप तो इन काइंड कुछ दे नहीं रहे हैं।
नहीं,
हाँ, तो इन काइंड अगर नहीं है, if it is 100% in cash, then there is no question of applicability of 28(4) or 194R according to me.
सर उसके बिहाफ में अगर माने उसमें हम कुछ प्रोडक्ट ही डिस्काउंट में देते हैं फिर आ जाएगी?
तब आ जाएगी because then it is a benefit or perquisite is in kind.
अच्छा सर, एक सिचुएशन मेरा आती है, सपोज हम एक डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर को सेल करते हैं, ठीक है, डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर को सेल करते हैं, डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर को वो डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर मेरा रिटेलर को सेल करता है, ठीक है। अगर गिफ्ट जब हम देने की बात आई उसका कोई फ्री सैंपल वगैरह टेस्टर सा जो हम देते हैं तो डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर मुझे बोले आप मुझे न दे करके डायरेक्ट रिटेलर को दो, ठीक है, क्योंकि हम TDS का चक्कर में नहीं करेंगे, मुझे बिजनेस करना ही बंद कर देगा। अब मेरा क्वेश्चन है जब हम अगर कोई रिटेलर को देते हैं, ठीक है, तो उस केस में जो मेरा एप्लीकेबिलिटी है TDS की,
सर क्वेश्चन इज रिटेलर को भी जो वो बेनिफिट मिल रहा है विच इज इन काइंड is in the course of carrying on business or profession. So 194R will be applicable.
तो डायरेक्ट हम रिटेलर का पूरा KYC लेके रिटेलर का 194R काटे, अगर डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर से नहीं बैठा मेरा बैठना बिजनेस तो? अच्छा, ठीक है, थैंक यू सर।
Sir, I think all the questions has been taken off.
बोलिए सर, हम आपको 194R लेके लगे हुए हैं सर।
Sir, I think all the questions has been taken care of mostly. So अपने आगे कंटिन्यू कर सकते हैं सेशन को। मनु ऋषि जी का कुछ प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है विद द स्पीकर।
गुप्ता जी, आप विल बी स्टेइंग विद अस ना फॉर द एंटायर सेशन कि नहीं?
हैं, अभी तो हैं।
ठीक है, तो पल्लवी जी आप नेक्स्ट स्पीकर को इनवाइट कर लो, नवीन जी को, and let him continue, and after he finishes up you offer a vote of thanks and conclude the session.
Okay. Welcome Naveen Khemka ji. I would like to invite Naveen Khemka ji for deliberating his views on various problems with the GST and Traces website. He is a fellow member of ICSI since 2011. He has completed his MBA degree in finance from ICAFI in 2013. Currently, he is practicing in Khemka and Associates firm name in Kolkata on the areas of direct taxation and GST. And also, he is a past convener of Views Exchange and Chartered Accountant Study Circle for the year 2020, 21 and 21-22. And currently he is a member of MSME Development Forum, West Bengal chapter. So I welcome Naveen Khemka ji once again.
Should I continue?
Haan, sir.
A very good afternoon to all the delegates present over here. A very good afternoon to my earlier speaker, a very learned speaker, SS Gupta ji, to the convener of the association, Sarosh Swaika ji, co-convener Nitesh Morji, and all other dignitaries present over here. So the very first thing I would like to remind that the topic which was chosen as to the problems which we are facing in the Traces website as well as GST's website. I have heard a lot of people complaining that the DST is not being working over there. The features which we have to use in Traces for revising our returns, those are not being possible since the system configurations are not working. We are also finding that people in their offices are using different systems for filing GST with another system, for filing MCA filings with another system, and for filing ETDS return with another system. The reason being different settings and different Java, different M signers for all the portals of the departments. So the fact is correct that we have different settings for different portals. So first I will just try to brief you with respect to Traces and with respect to GST, and then we'll see the practical difficulties which we are facing and how we can overcome all those things. It might be difficult to persons who are not very much tech savvy, but again one thing, जैसे हम लोग कोई भी session को सुनते हैं and we give and apply our mind patiently. Similarly, technology से भी we have to be patient enough, because whenever we are facing any issue, you will find that the reply is already there in your system only. Whenever there is an error creeping up, so we go panicking and we don't see what the error is giving a message to us. If we try to read the message and try to recollect or relocate that where the error could have been, then 80% problems would be solved. It might be that a lot of problems doesn't get solved. We use Google services also. But if you're using Google services, then you have to type the exact error which you are getting while doing any of the works. So a lot of blogs you will find over there which gives you a lot of settings of your systems which could be tried upon. General settings, general problems I'll discuss over here, but it might be possible that you have a specific error with your system. It might be a lot of situations. For example, your Windows version is older. It might be that the Java which you are using is not updated, or it might be pre-updated by which is required for the website. So there can be a lot of ifs and buts. But let's see. I prepared a PPT during the session only. I'll just go through it. Just tell me if you're able to see my screen. Can anybody confirm me whether he is able to see my screen?
हाँ सर दिख रही है.
So the myths I will go at what is associated with the Traces website, that regarding Java, a lot of feelings are there कि we should not update our Java, otherwise our TCS portal will not work. So I don't believe on these things. I believe that if your system is updated, then definitely you will be able to work with all these government websites. It might be a problem that if you update today, you might be facing a problem today, but the next day you won't be facing the problem, because the government websites also gets updated with the update of Java and other utilities, which helps in running the softwares. So my suggestion would be always go for an updated Java or updated websites. You will find that the Chromes or browsers which you are using, those also gets a lot of updates. But we generally don't go and give update to our browsers and other things. So you need to be updated with your system. You need to update the Java. A pop-up will always come up, which will signify you that what is the update which has come forward and what version of Java you are using beforehand. Another myth was that the TDS certificate, which after filing the return of TDS, we have to generate TDS certificates. But in practice, we have seen that a lot of SSCs are not generating TDS certificates, only being the reason that the deductee is already getting the information in his 26 AS. So what's the use of issuing a TDS certificate? Because there is no requirement of the certificates being attached to the returns, which was mandatory beforehand. But make it sure that where there is a delay in filing of return of income, 200 rupees per day, the same provision is also there if you don't generate your TDS certificates. So it's again a request to all the persons who are listening right now. After filing your TDS returns, next 15 days is a time frame where you need to generate your TDS certificates. So don't delay it. It's another matter whether you're issuing it or not issuing it, but give a request on the portal for downloading TDS certificate and download it when it is available. So that makes your part clear. The department comes to know that the certificate has been requested and has been downloaded. So the penalty won't be raised upon, because right now you will be finding a lot of emails coming into the SSC's email ID, which says that the rules that if you don't download a TDS certificates, then a penalty may be levied. However, department is not levying any penalty right now. Third thing, Traces website is to be used only for downloading TDS certificates and making corrections. But there are other features also on Traces websites, which might make our life much more easier with the TDS compliances. As Gupta ji was also saying that audit is also required with respect to TDS and TCS provisions. So if we move into the Traces websites and try to figure out the problems, the areas, the interest portions, the dates which you have mentioned, a lot of 50% of the audit part will be completed from the Traces websites only. As I discussed, that a separate computer system is being used by a lot of our fraternity members for working with MCA website separately, for income tax website separately, and TDS and GST separately. So that won't be required if you have an updated system in your office. You can work with a single system for all the websites of the government. Into the services which are available on the website, it's come with the registration of tax deductors and taxpayers. If you any new SSC has just taken a TAN number, then you might be having an option of e-filing the same with your income tax portal. For doing that, you first have to get yourself registered as a tax deductor in Traces website, and then from there it will redivert you to the income tax portal, wherein using your TAN number you can log in and you can file your ETDS returns. Previously, what we used to do, we used to use our softwares, we used to generate the files which were supposed to be deposited, and we used to take it in a disk or in a pen drive to any Carvi center or an SDL center to get it uploaded. I think most today also, in today's scenario also, 80% or 70% of the returns are being filed in that fashion. But if you can activate your registration in income tax portal with the help of Traces website, then definitely you'll be able to file the returns from your office only, and you don't need to go to any other offices to submit the returns. Electronic filing of TDS statements, original or corrections. As I mentioned that after registering as a tax deductor and taxpayer from the Traces to the income tax portal, you'll be able to file your original returns. For corrections, you will have to either download the justification report, make the correction in a software, and again get the correction file, and again go to your income tax portal and submit the correction return. But if there are minor corrections, it is possible with the help of your digital signatures that you can do it online on the Traces portal itself. You can view the statement processing status and the TDS defaults. This is a very gray area where we have filed our returns and we hope that our work has been completed. Department processes the same and defaults comes in. It might be because we have put it some wrong dates while preparing a return, or you have put it a wrong PAN number. You don't go and check on the websites whether the return which has been processed is with defaults or without defaults. If you make a habit of checking it, then you'll be definitely finding that all the defaults are being there in the portal as well as in the email also. But if the email address given by you is not correct, then you won't be getting that information. So always go on the Traces website and check for the statement processing status and TDS defaults. And you'll have a specific information with respect to what are the TDS defaults, whether it is for short deduction, whether it is for short payments, or whether it is for delay of payment of amount which you have paid as TDS, or you have filed your return in delay, a fees is due. So all those TDS defaults will be available to see on your online portal. And view 26AS trade statement of taxpayers. This, I think all of our CA fraternity members are using it right now. But generally we use it from the income tax portal and it gets diverted to another website. That website is a Traces website only. There is an option where you can register as your PAN card holder also. And from there, you can directly log into Traces website and see your 26AS statement, irrespective of going to the income tax portal and then diverting yourself to the Traces portal. So 26AS statement is being managed by the Traces portal. Digital TDS certificates, Form 16, 16A and 16B, and in reconciliation with 26AS. For the justification report, it might be possible that sometimes the errors which are coming in as a TDS default, the interest portion, we don't, if we are unable to find out that the figure which is computed by the department and figure which is there with us is not matching, or we are unable to find out that the short deduction is for which parties. So in that scenario, you need to download the justification report, which can be extracted by the utility, and it will give you a detailed Excel sheet wherein it will give you a computational pattern of all the short deductions with the name of the deductees, the row numbers, and what are the amount which you have short deducted and what is the reason behind it, whether it is due to shortage of deduction due to percentage. Suppose you are supposed to deduct 10%, but you have deducted 2%, or 2% you have deducted 1%. That could be one scenario. And another scenario can be the PAN number which you have mentioned is wrong. In that case, the system considers your deduction to be on a lesser side because for wrong PAN, the deduction rate is 20%. So that amount gets into the default side. Plus, if you have made a delay in payment, then the interest calculation for how many months, it will show you exact dates that for how many months the interest has been calculated and what are the due dates. Into the another thing, the consolidated file for submitting correction of the TDS statement. So if you want to file a correction offline, so you need to download the consolidated file. Now, what is this consolidated file is? It is basically the total summary of your original return, which gets downloaded from the Traces website, and then you can make the corrections on the consolidated file, make your necessary changes, and then generate another file, which is the correction file. Then you can submit it either to your TIN FC centers, or you can upload it through your income tax portal. Aggregated TDS compliance report. we have seen that a lot of SSCs are having a multiple TANs for different cities. If they're having operation in Bengal, if they're having operation in Mumbai, if they're having operation, for example, banks, you will find that they are having a lot of TAN numbers, separate TAN numbers, but their PAN number is same. So to get a consolidated report of all their TDS compliances of different TAN numbers with a single PAN, this website is very useful for them. Online TDS statement corrections. I think once we start using this online statement corrections, then offline statements will be won't be required, and it will save you a lot of time of yours, because you can use your DSC and make the corrections then and there on the portal and can file your returns instantly. Secured integration with corporate tax deductors. You will find that a lot of softwares are there where you can, before filing a return of TDS return, you have the facility of checking your PAN numbers, that whether the entry you have fed in your return, all the PAN numbers are correct or not. So it returns you with a figure wherein name as per PAN has been disclosed, and if the PAN has not been found, it will give you a message that the PAN you have entered is wrong. So this services is being taken by private or corporate sectors, and it being punched with your softwares. So this integration with the corporate tax deductors is being done by the Traces website. And another amazing thing which is there is the TDS refunds. You will find that a lot of challans are there which have been extra paid and not been utilized. You can apply from your Traces website for the refunds of those unconsumed challans. Now, what are the prerequisite softwares we require for Traces? If you go to the help site of the Traces, you'll find these are the three things which is mentioned over, two things mentioned over there. The browser version should be Microsoft Edge, Google Chrome, Mozilla Firefox. Now, how would you understand that what version of Google Chrome you're using? So I'll just show you that from where you can check your Google Chrome version. You need to go to the Chrome. Just need to tab over here and go to the settings, about Chrome. So it will tell you the version of the Chrome which you are using. It's 103.0.5060.114, and the version required is Google Chrome 52 or 53.0. So what I am using is way ahead. It's 103.0. So I can be assured that the Chrome version which I'm using is up to date. Another thing is Mozilla Firefox. I'm not using Mozilla Firefox, so I won't be able to show, but the pattern would be the same. And Microsoft Edge. Microsoft Edge is a new browser which is being given by Windows 10. So if you're having your Windows lesser than Windows 10, then I don't think you'll be having Microsoft Edge. But this is the portal of Microsoft Edge. If you can see my portal, it is a E sign. Here also version will be there, but this automatically gets updated with your Windows. That's why no version has been mentioned over there. It's only mentioned as Microsoft Edge. Now coming to the next part. Recommended Java version. It's 8.1.21. 8.121. Now, how would you know that what Java version you are running? I'll just show you over that also, that what Java version you are running. I'll go to the control panel of my website, of my computer. There I'll be having a column of Java, icon of Java. If you click on this, a portal will come up. This will show you that which Java version you are using. Again, here you need to go to the about. It will show you my Java version is version 8, update 333. Now what is required over here is Java version 8.121. So what I'm using right now is 8.333. So any number which is preceding the number which is over there means your Java is more updated than the one which is required by the website. One more interesting thing I would like to show over here is it's possible that you can use more than one Java in your subsystem. It is not advisable to keep more than one Java because it might clash and you might not be able to use your website. But if you are very much tech friendly and you know that sometimes some website uses a lower grade of Java, lower version of Java, then from this tab, yeah. So currently in my system, I'm having two versions of Java. One is 1.8.0162 and 1.8.0333. What I have enabled right now is 1.8162. If sometimes I find that my product or my system is not supporting and I need a higher grade version of Java, I can uncheck this and check this one. So for all my default usage system, my Java version will be taken as 1.80333. But if I click on this one and not enable that one, 1.80.162, then whenever I am running any of my browsers or anything, the Java version which will be picking up by my system will be 1.80162. So you need to be aware of this functionality, which might help you in running all the versions of MCA and traces as well as income tax and everything. So these are the two things which I wanted to show in Java. The third is mSigner WebSocket version 2.0. This is the one thing which is required in traces. So what I'll show you over here, if you can see in my desktop, I'm having, this is one mSigner. This is version 2.0. I'll hide it. Another is GSTN. This is also an mSigner version 2.8. And we have one more MCA. I'll just run it. So what I have done in my system is whenever I install an mSigner, the shortcut which is being created, I rename it that this is an mSigner for MCA. This is an mSigner for traces website TDS, and one more mSigner is there for the GSTN. Currently, the GSTN mSigner has been changed. The logo is different. It has mentioned as GSTN over there. So it's more easier to identify. Otherwise, previously all the mSigners used to look like this E pattern only. So what's interesting in mSigner is once you double click over here, you will find the port. Once you scroll down over here, you will find the port which is configured in this mSigner. The server configured on port is 1565. So what this means is that this mSigner is running on a port 1565. And this is what the website is generally configured to. Suppose if you're using a traces website and you're using a DSC, it will ask you for a WebSocket connectivity, wherein whenever you use your DSC, it will be trying to find out a link to the port 1565, through which it will be accessing your digital signature, which you have inserted in your system. Now what happens that by default, the Windows does not allow any third party to interact with the port if you don't allow it to. This is the internal security norms. So what we do, or if you go into the traces website, it is mentioned over there also. I'll just repeat. You have to type in your browser https://127.0.0.1 then colon and then the port code. For instance, 1585. This is for the port code for the traces website. Once you hit enter button, if the connection establishment has been already given, then you will find this type of page coming up. This page isn't working. But if the connection is not secure or the permission has not been granted, you will get a web page stating that you want to access something which is prohibited. Do you want to allow the access? So down you will find two buttons. One will be continue and one will be ignoring. You have to press the continue button. Once you press the continue button, you will find the same page over here. But this means that the access to this port is being granted by your Windows. And after this, when you use your DSC functionality in your portal, the port will be allowing your DSC to be read and the DSC to be used in the portal. This code which I have mentioned, that 127.0.0.1 / the port code. Now I'll just show you the port code of GSTN. It's 1585. The port code for traces, it's 1565. And the port code for MCA, you will find it is 2015. So all the websites are using different port codes. So just go to your panel, open your mSigner, and you will find the port at which it is configured. You need to type this port along with the code which is mentioned over there. Then only you will be able to get the access. Another thing, friends, once you are using Traces website, then it's always advised that you shut down the services of the GSTN mSigner. It can be double-clicked from here and you can stop this service. You'll find that it is gone from here. Only this mSigner is running right now. Because if you have more than one mSigner running at a particular time, that might also give an hindrance to your website in accessing the port codes. Because 2-3 port codes simultaneously opening itself might not give the proper accessibility to the browser to access your DSC. So 80% time frame, it does not hamper, but sometimes system itself gets crammed up. Some files or some interlinking things happens at the back, which does not allow. So if you find that after putting up all the information which I have mentioned, then also the browser is still giving it a message that the mSigner is not running, then it's requested to kindly shut down all your mSigner and run only the one which is required at that point of time. If you're running MCA, then the MCA mSigner. If traces, then traces mSigner, and if GST, then GST mSigner. Coming back, the utilities which are available on the Traces website. For generating form 16A, you'll have to have a utility of version PDF converter version 1.7L. I'm having the same with me. I'll just show you across. So this is the PDF converter version 1.7L. It will begin a Java pattern file. You need to double click on it. It will open up. Here you need to give the zip file which has been downloaded by your Traces portal. You need to input the password, which will be your TAN number, and you need to put up the folder name where you want to extract all your TDS certificates. And if you have your DSC inserted in your laptop, then you can also digitally sign all the TDS certificates. So once you are issuing the TDS certificates either digitally or in a printable mode, then you are not required to sign it again. All your digital certificates which will be generated will be having your DSC attached to it. So you just need to insert your DSC. Once your DSC is inserted, you will find your DSC over there. I'll just insert a DSC and reopen it and show you. Just make sure that after you open this Traces PDF generation and then you insert your token, it won't be recognizing it. So make sure you have your DSC inserted first and then reopen this generator again. Then only it will be catching up with your DSC. Look, I have inserted a DSC. Now the DSC name is coming over here. So after you have selected all the above information, only select your DSC and then proceed. Once the PDF start generating, it will ask you for the password of the token, which you need to enter so that your signature gets attached to the PDF which is being generated. So this is the PDF generator. Another thing is the PDF generator 1.4L, which is for Part B generation. You have known that in your salary, there is two parts, Part A and Part B. Part A deals with the total amount of TDS which has been deducted, and Part B gives the total description that what was your salary, how much deductions you have claimed. So that Part B is also now being getting generated from the Traces website. The look of the Traces 1.4L is similar. You will get a different file for Form 16B Part B zip file. This needs to be inserted and part will be generated for all your salaried employees. The third utility which is required for Traces website is the transaction-based report PDF converter. This generally is not being used by me because we don't require this transaction-based report quite often in our day-to-day working. So this is not been downloaded by me. Form 27D PDF converter, the same thing. This is also not being used in general day-to-day affairs by me. The last one, the very important one, 2.7 justification report. This is a lot of time required. It gives you an Excel-based reporting. This is the justification report downloader. It's an Excel-based one. Once you open it, you'll need to enable the macros. I have to enable the editing. Once that's been, I have to enable the macros. So once you have enabled all, I have trusted this Excel sheet, then only this tabs will be working. Otherwise, it won't be working. And if you're using any older version of Excel, which is not giving a pop-up and these buttons are not working, kindly go to your macros settings and enable the macros for this Excel sheet. You need to insert the TXT file which has been generated by the Predecessor portal. Then you have to give the location where your file will be generated, and then you have to generate the report. Once you generate the report, an Excel sheet will be coming down with all the details of the defaults which has been created in that quarter return. These are the utilities which I was talking about. Next is the system settings. I've already shown you this through the portal. You need to give the authorization. You have to run your browser, type the in address bar 127.0.0.1 and then the port number according to the mSigner which you are using. The web page will give you a warning message. You need to confirm, and then after doing it, you need to go to the DSC portal again, and click on the access tab of the DSC. It will be running. A snapshot has been prepared as to what mSigner is used for which website. mSigner version 2.0, port code 1565 used for Traces website. Version 2.8, port code 1585 used for the GST website. Version 1.1, port code 2015 used for the MCA website. And mBridge, thanks for the new income tax website. This has brought a new mSigner. I will not say mSigner, it's an mBridge version 5.8.9.5. This is a new mBridge version. I'll just show you this one. This is an mBridge developed by eMudra. Here you will have all your token, means you will find that the token somebody is having of ePass, somebody is having of trust key, prox key. So all those tokens names are there. So over here, the port codes and other authorizations need not be provided. It automatically is taken by the income tax department new income tax portal. You just need to have your DSC inserted, and once you enter in your page where DSC would be required, it will automatically sense which token you are using, and once a token is being used, it will fetch the DSC over there through the help of this mBridge. So this also needs to be updated whenever there is an update. This is with respect to the settings which I was talking about. Coming to the Traces website, I'll just take you to the Traces website and show you a few of the utilities which are over there. This is the dashboard. Once you click again dashboard over here, you will find whatever defaults are there. It will be showing over here, the outstanding demand. Once you click on this outstanding demand, it will show you the details for which year the demands are outstanding. And once you click on the exact year, it will show you the quarter in which the defaults are outstanding. Again, if you drill down to the quarter, it will show you the demand is for which reason. So here it is giving the interest on late payment. Now, if I don't understand that this interest on late payment has been calculated in which fashion or in which pattern, or how many days delays are there, whether it is correct or not. So for that, I need to download the justification report. From here, I can download my justification report. Request for justification report download. Once you click over here, you have to give your which quarter you want to download, financial year, quarter, and form type. Now, whenever you want to make a correction that I was talking about, you need to make a correction online itself. So you need to have your DSC registered in your profile. If you have your DSC registered in a profile, you will having the full access of all the corrections which can be made online for your TDS returns. If your DSC is not updated in a profile, then it will give you an offline correction which allows only two corrections. One is payment of your interest, and another is most probably PAN correction. These two things will only be allowed. Other than that, addition of challan, addition of deductees, removal of deductees, or modification of challan, all those things can be done only with the help once you have registered your DSC. So you have to request for correction. Once you request for correction, it will ask you for which year you want the correction to be taken care of. You need to choose the year, quarter, form type. It will ask you for the authorization, where you need to check in with your DSC. Then the third part comes in track correction request. View all. So I'm having one of the correction statement in progress. If you click on this, it will ask me for a digital signature support. I'll just see whether my mSigner is running. Yeah, it's running. I validate. It gives me an error that the mSigner setup is not running. So what I'll do, I'll just stop this. mSigner TDS. Okay. One 565. I'll just clear my browsers once again. These are the few things which always needs to be carried out. Your history needs to be cleared. Your cache needs to be cleared. The settings you can always do, maybe every weekly you can say, or every twice a day. You need to clear all your caches and cookies. This is the connection which is not private. This is the message which I'm talking about. You'll get this type of message. You need to go to the advanced. You need to give the proceed to 127.001 unsafe. You need to proceed over here. Once you click on proceed, you will get this message. This means now the port has been opened for your website. Log in again. So now you see that it's being running right now. Previously, it was not running. So I did a few of the checks that I cleared my cookies. I stopped my mSigner and restarted the same again, and then logged in over there. And now my DSC has been authorized. So now I'm having the functionality of all the corrections which I can make in this return. Similarly, what I was talking about the refund part, there's an option for filing a refund request. This is the request for refund which you can make through this portal. Once you start using this portal, you will find that you have a lot of unconsumed challans which are pending, which has not been consumed, which most of our CF attendant does not know. So here are the list of view details of unconsumed challans. It might be that you're having a few penny of amount left over in a challan. It might be that you have missed the whole challan also. You have deposited some interest, but you have not adjusted it with your returns default amount. So this gives you a list of all the challans which has not been adjusted, or still some amount, maybe 10 paisa also is remaining. It will show you over here. Now, how you can find out that what is the amount which is outstanding? You need to open or get hold of this challan which has been deposited by the SSC. You need to click on the view amount. You need to put up the challan amount over here, the total challan amount. Once you put up the total challan amount over here, the total unconsumed amount will be displayed, and total challan amount will be displayed. Now, there is one interesting thing that suppose if you have deposited any challan in extra, suppose 1,000 rupees or 2,000 rupees is deposited in extra in some section in last financial year. For example, in 21-22, you have deposited 1,000 rupees extra. So in 22-23, you can use or consume that challan. Any challan which is there for any particular financial year, you can use 1 year preceding and 1 year ahead. Both the challans can be used to set off your liabilities for this current financial year. If you want to make any changes or correction in financial year 18-19, then challans deposited in 17-18 as well as in 19-20, both can be tagged and brought in your return for 18-19. So 1 year leverage has been given. If you are unable to utilize any challans which has been unconsumed for any preceding previous years, then you can apply for a refund. But there are rules and regulations. If there is any demand or any outstanding liability, I don't think the department will be issuing you the refund. Once all your demand is clear, for example, you don't find any demand lying in outstanding demand area, then any unconsumed challan which is pending over there, you can apply for a refund, and I think you will be getting the refund amount. Apart from this, my suggestion would be keep your system updated, keep your Java updated, and if possible, always use your Windows updated version, not a pirated one. Have a licensed version, because if you have a licensed version of your Windows, then I don't think there will be any problem in updating your system, because all government websites are, I would say, every 15 days or half a month it gets updated with all the latest technologies which are coming in, and that will secure your system with viruses also, and it will help in seamless filing or using your income tax portal or website of MCA. So that was all from my side. If anybody is having a specific question with respect to problems which they are facing, I'll be ready to help them out.
If anyone is having any issue, please raise your hands and ask the question to Naveen ji. Sir, I think you have explained very well. That is why nobody is asking any question. Sir, one question: how to pay late filing fees for?
How to pay late TDS filing fees for which demand is raised. So first option is whenever you are making a challan, there's an option in the challan for where you'll find income tax, surcharge, cess. There is a column of fees. So any late filing fees, if you want it to be auto corrected by the TDS portal itself, then you need to enter the amount in the fee while making the payment of challan. But it might also be possible that you have made the challan and the amount has been mentioned as in the income tax part or in the interest part. So the website traces gives you the optionality where you can adjust the income tax part also with the fee amount. You just need to log into your portal. You need to make a correction in the challan, wherein the amount which you have fed as an income tax, you can change it and claim it as a fee. Once you are making an correction in challan, the options will be given over there where you want to claim the amount as fee or as interest. So it applies both for interest as well as late fees. If you have make any payment as taxation and you want to claim it as a interest, then the portal will not be auto adjusting it with your demand liability. It will having a challan, but since the amount has been fed as basic tax, it won't be adjusting it with your interest until and unless you make the correction in challan and file a revised return or tag that challan with your demand amount.
So Priyanka ji has asked how to apply for the form 16 for employees. How to raise the form.
Okay. I'll just show you. Normally through softwares you can raise, but I'll just screen share my system again. Screen share. So I'm having logged into the portal. From download section, you have to go to the form 16. Once you click on form 16, if you want to download for any particular employee, then you need to choose the financial year for which you want to download. You need to enter a PAN number and add. If that PAN number is there in your statement which you have filed, it will automatically come over here. If you have 1, 2, 3, 4, or 10 or 15, whatever you want, you can download from here. But if you want to download for all your employees, then don't use this option. Use the bulk PAN download option, where you need to enter only the financial year and you need to proceed. Once you go to proceed, it will give, since my DSC is there, so it won't be asking me for any verification. I'll just put my DSC over here. So I'll just check which financial year I've taken. It's financial year 21-22. Proceed. It gives me the details of the owner or the SSC who is responsible to deduct tax. I need to submit. And here the request form 16 part A, part B has been submitted. Now this has gone through easily because I haven't logged out from this portal right now. If I would have logged out, then again that DSC validation or the offline validation would have come forward. If somehow you don't have the DSC of your SSC, then also you can apply. You need to go for the offline procedure. So once you go to the offline procedure, whatever return, quarterly return information you're downloading, you need to put in the acknowledgement number of that challan. You need to pick any one challan which is having the maximum deductee counts. Suppose in your return you are having 5 challans, and each challan is having one challan is having 2 deductees, one challan is having 4 deductees, one challan is having 10 deductees. So you need to choose the challan which is having the maximum deductees. And out of that, you need to choose 3 deductees PAN number and their respective TDS amount. You need to put it all those in that offline information and then submit. Once the data matches with the return which you have uploaded, it will give you the platform to move ahead. And if you're using a DSC, then only the DSC authorization will be required. You did not required to put up any information of the challans which you have fed in previously. So once this request has been placed for part A and part B with the 2 request numbers, you'll find in the requested download section. Here you'll be having the view all option. Here you'll find 2 submitted buttons are there. So one is for part A and one for part B. As I've showed you earlier, the part A needs to be generated with the 1.7L and part B needs to be generated with 1.4L. The file which will be downloaded from part B has to be put it in the 1.4L tab to generate part B file, and 1.7L has to be used for part A file. So now this will become available after, I think, 3 to 4 hours. This is the minimum time which the traces portal takes. Once the file gets available, this will turn into available part. Now, once you click on the available part, it will give you the option of download. And then you can download the file, and then you can import it into the utility to generate the files with DSC or without DSC as been told. Another thing, that the utilities from where you can download the same function, you won't be finding it outside the portal. Once you have requested for a download and you go to the requested download portion, here the information comes for the utility download. Click here to download the utility. So this is the link from where you can download all the utilities. You can click here. You have to give the captcha. And all the updated utilities will be over here. Make sure you check with the updated utilities, because this utilities also undergo changes. Previously, this version was 1.2, then this 1.2 changed to 1.4, then 1.7 currently we are using. So just check this version, because if there's a mismatch between the version which is available and the version you're using in your system, then again the files won't be getting generated. So just check on this before you generate the certificates.
पंकज जैन जी का सर एक क्वेश्चन है. He has paid a challan. He has paid an amount as tax in the challan, but he was requiring to pay the late TDS filing fees. So now he wants to understand how to correct the challan and how to adjust the challan fees with the demand raised as the traces website.
Sir, as I have already mentioned, you need to move into, just a second. Need to check the default. As I've showed over here, it will having a default over here. In your case, you'll be having a default wherein in your quarter amount, it will be showing as a fee. The late filing fee amount will be showing over here. You need to go for the correction. I'll go with the requested correction. Otherwise, I have to request correction over here again. So here you will be having challan correction. So you already have the challan amount which you have paid, but not as a fee. Then you will be having all the challan details over here. Now, if I'm having any unconsumed part, definitely you can amend only that portion where you have an unconsumed part. So if there is any challan which has an unconsumed part, then only you'll be able to modify it. So how to modify? You have to click. Suppose this challan has an outstanding balance which you want to adjust with your fee. You click on this, and then you go to challan correction. Here, edit match challan details is coming. If it is not a match challan, then it will be giving an option to edit your amount also. So here, whatever amount is left, you need to adjust. This is the portal which is coming where you are filing a challan. When you're making a challan payment, you need to put up the TDS amount, surcharge amount, cess amount. Similarly, you need to reduce this tax amount and you need to put it in the levy amount. Make sure the total tax deposited amount which you have done as a breakup over here should not exceed the amount of total tax of the amount of the challan which you have deposited. Otherwise, it won't accept. So you just need to put the levy amount over here and reduce the amount from the other TDS, surcharge, or interest part, whatever the amount is lying. Once you click over here, the amount gets matched and you need to save the challan. Once you have saved the challan, then here this challan will become orange and it will get edited. And then here the amount, the tab will come submit correction statement. Once you move to the correction statement, it will give you all the information which the changes you have made, and then you can proceed further. If you have stopped somewhere in the middle, suppose you have done this part and you want to continue later on, then you can move to view saved statements. Whatever corrections you have made, it will go into the view saved statements. And once you are ready for filing the correction, it goes into the correction ready for submission. So these are the separate tabs which have been given. But if you are continuously moving without any break in between the filing of the statements, then you will have all these tab options right at the bottom of your next screen where you want to move. Yes, ma'am. Any more queries?
Yes, Paras Jha, please, Paras Jha ji, please unmute yourself and ask the question. Sir, one question is there.
Hello.
Yes, please ask. Paras.
सर मेरा 2018-19 का टीडीएस पोर्टल पे करीब 35,000 का शॉर्ट डिडक्शन प्लस इंटरेस्ट लेकर के डिमांड दिखा रहा है, ठीक है, बट मेरा 19 में अभी से किस में कुछ अनकंज्यूम चालान है जिसका हम यूटिलाइज नहीं किया, वो क्या एडजस्ट कर सकते हैं क्या वहां से?
18-19 का डिमांड है ना आपका?
हाँ हाँ,
आपका 19-20 में अनकंज्यूम चलान है ना?
हाँ, अभी से किस में भी है, दोनों मिला करके करीब 40,000 का मेरा अनकंज्यूम है।
सर आप 18-19 का डिमांड के लिए आप 1920 का जो चलान है, whatever challans you are having in 1920, that challans can be set off with the 1819 demand. But for 2021 unconsumed challan, you cannot adjust with the demand of 1819 because the portal currently allows you only to adjust 1 year back or 1 year front. For example, if you're having any 17-18 outstanding unconsumed challan, that can also be adjusted with 1819 demand.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Sir, one question is there. For 24Q, is salary disclosure is mandatory for employee whose TDS is not being deducted, as few employees ask for the Form 16.
Yeah, generally what happens if you see that a lot of deductions are there wherein we are not required to deduct. Suppose we are making a payment to a transporter and the transporter gives you a declaration that he's not having more than 10 vehicles. So in that scenario, you're not supposed to deduct your TDS. But as a SSC, you are supposed to give his information in your TDS return, specifying the amount which you have paid, and you have to tick the column that he is a transporter. So once you click that is a transporter, then the TDS amount will be getting 0, but the amount you have paid will be showing over there. So once the return is being generated, you will find that a TDS certificate is also generated for him, where the TDS amount will be 0, but the amount paid or credited will be showing over there along with the dates. Same is the case with the Form 16, wherein any of your employee who is not in the bracket of getting his tax deducted, but still you can, while filing your 24Q return, you can put his salary details over there and mention that the amount deducted is 0, because in the last quarter, for the first, second and third quarter, there is no option you can include that as a staff or the employee over there, because first, second and third quarter only ask you the details about the amount which you have deducted and you have paid for which SSCs over there. So if you have not deducted anything, you won't be able to put his name over there. But in the last quarter where you have to put in the salary details also, that is annexure 2. So in last fourth quarter salary details, you can put in only in the annexure 2 part the details of all the salaries on which TDS has not been deducted. So you'll be able to generate part B only for the salary employees on whom salary TDS has not been deducted. Part A won't be getting generated since you have not deducted any tax.
Okay. Okay, thank you, sir.
It's not mandatory, but as a practice, you can put in filing of the non-deducted cases also.
I think that's all with the questions, sir.
So thank you for allowing me this opportunity to share something which I like a lot, the systems, the configurations. I hope today's deliberation would help a few of them to file their correction or file their or use their websites properly, and they won't be blaming the government that different websites is having different problems and we have to use different systems for the same.
Thank you, Naveen, for such step-by-step deliberation on the basics. I think I should say traces, basics of the traces, basically. Sir, I think we can wrap up the session.
We can share and wrap up the session.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, everyone. And on behalf of Views Exchange and all the participants of the session, I would like to thank you, SS Gupta ji, for enlightening us on the various amendments of TDS provisions and resolving our various queries, especially regarding the new section 194R. And also, I would like to thank Naveen Khemka ji for deliberating ways to deal with the various issues regarding traces and GST websites, and also an understanding for the basic softwares and version requirements for these websites. On behalf of all the participants, I would thank you, Saroj Swaika ji, Nitesh More ji, and my co-host Manu Rishi ji for organizing this session and making the session a success. Thank you so much. Saroj ji, sir, we can, I think, sir, आप म्यूट पे हैं, सर, आवाज नहीं आ रही.
हाँ, मेरे को ब्लॉक किया गया था. Anyway, I would also like to thank each and every participants, and for your updation, tomorrow again we have a session where you can, those who have registered, you can log in with the same meeting ID and password with the same link which have been sent on your registered mails. For tomorrow also and for day after also, it will be the same registration link, though I'll be sending once again to each and every participants. Thank you. Thank you, learned speakers. Thank you, participants. Thank you, Pallavi ji, Manu Rishi ji, and all my friends. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.